Hi, I'm Keith Cotter and welcome to the HSB Academy tutorial session. In this we're going to continue on about stacking, and we're going to take a look at how you stack individual elements onto a truck. We're also going to learn a little bit about the editing tools that you can do with placing those elements on a truck. Here on our screen we can see at the moment I have a truck configuration already set up, and if you haven't known how I got to that truck, you should follow a previous tutorial that I've already covered on this subject. And also I have two packages already created. Once again, I've also recorded an earlier tutorial on this, and you should follow back on that before proceeding with this. So what I want to now do is stack the top level of this building onto this truck. So let's take a look at how we do that. So the first thing I should do is the widget should be currently active and I should have auto stack turned on. The next thing I do is I ensure that I've selected this load space here, which is this one that we have activated with the cyan outline. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this panel here. I'm going to swivel around and I'm going to pick the back panel and pick that. And what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to accidentally take a mistake here, and I'm going to pick the next panel below it, which is the incorrect panel in this case. I wanted to select, for example, this panel. So that's no harm. All I need to do is just select the element and say remove from the stack, and that will allow you to remove it. So we can continue to proceed, and I can now place this particular element here. And you can see it places it on a stack. Now, what I want to show you as well is we're currently auto stacking, and we also have the manual stack. What the manual stack will allow you to do is essentially that you can select an element, and then you can see that I can place it practically anywhere. But the chances are that when I place this, I need to be fairly accurate on how I place the element. Sometimes it's going to put that element on top of another element, and it's quite a job to try and place it. So I'm just going to place it outside the truck here for the moment, and you can see it snaps by chance on top of the truck here. But if I were using this stacking solution, the best process I would use is to continue using auto stack. And when you place an element, that you can move it, and as you can see I'm now moving it, and I'm selecting this point here, and I'm going to say I want to move it to that location here. So you can now see I've just placed the stacking of that particular element on the same level as the previous element that I placed. Okay, let's continue and take a look at some of the other editing tools that we have. We've also got delete stack, which will allow us to delete completely the stack on the element. So that would remove all elements. I can pick delete stack and select this, and you can now see it removes all the elements as we have at the moment. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other editing tools. And for this purpose, I'm going to zoom in here on this part of the truck, and I'm going to make this load bed active currently here. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to add once more this particular element to the truck. Now naturally, we can see that it currently overhangs on the truck by a certain distance. But what is that distance? Well, we could turn on the show warning. And currently you can see here that it shows a current warning of 1495.8. Now, if I select this particular plane on the load space and I edit it, you can now see that I am currently with an oversale value of 1600 here. If I did make this currently 800, just to give you an example, and I currently turn off the show warnings and activate it again, now it's a red color, meaning that you have exceeded the oversale value allowable on this truck. So you are able to adjust this oversale value, but bear in mind this is only for this particular project because you are only overriding the value on this particular truck in this project. If you did want to have this oversale as a more permanent value and that it was to be for every project, you should then set this oversale value up in the truck configuration. But for now, I'm going to say this is currently 1600, and we're going to currently set the information so that it's allowable. So yellow means that it's allowable, but it's still warning you that you've oversailed on your truck. Okay, what I want now to also show you is obviously you can undo and redo, but the last thing that I want to show you is how we work with individual elements. So to do this, I'm going to make this currently the active bed in this case, and we're going to learn a little bit about how you can add glulam beams and steel beams on individual entities rather than full elements. So let's turn off the show warnings, and we're going to come right up here to this particular model again. And I'm just going to show you first of all an interesting feature in that we have our console structure, which is our tree structure of how this entire building is built up. And I'm going to scroll down to selecting AW4, which is this wall here, and I'm going to turn off the sheets. So you can now see that I can see currently the active sheet. Here on this screen you can see that I have an option called Element Entity Select. Currently it's turned off, meaning that if I select this wall, it will select the entire element. Whereas if I select this, it will now allow me to focus in on a particular entity within this element. Furthermore, what I'm going to do up here is I'm also going to turn on the snap on entity. So I want to be able to snap to a point in this case. So back up here, I'm going to pick this particular beam on top of the opening. I'm going to zoom in here, and you can now see it snaps the entity here onto this. So this is an individual beam which is taken from this particular element here. Let's pick the next one, and you can now see it is allowing me to stack those elements. Once again, as I mentioned before, you can select any one of these components. So I could zoom in here and pick maybe this, and I'd say I want to move it so that this is sitting on top of that, and you can see you can continue to move these entities on the truck as needed. So what we've covered here is the ability to be able to stack individual items on the truck and elements individual on the truck as well. So I'm Keith Cotter, thank you for watching this, and I hope to see you in the future session.